In today's market, homes aren't selling the way they used to, and if yours is sitting, there's a reason. I'm Lauren, this is Raul with the Schrader Group, and we're diving into the real reason your home isn't selling. Is your home really worth what you think, or is it only worth what a buyer is willing to pay in today's market?
Yeah, so I think that's a question that we have to evaluate right now because we got to worry about the market value, right? And I think that's where we get lost. What does the Bear County assessment say? What does your county assessors say, right? Versus what your neighbor sold for, or what you think the house should sell for. I think that the emotional value right now is really messing with sellers because they put so much time and effort, sweat equity, all those things into it that they feel like, I feel like it's worth so much more because of X, Y, Z. But does it really mean it's materially worth more? So that's one thing, right? Evaluating what the current market value is versus what the emotional value is. Buyers really determine the price, right? Well, at the end of the day, when we look at something, we're really looking at what is the market. The market is what the buyer's willing to pay for it, right? And then the appraiser comes in and justifies whether or not that's the right value. So I think that's what it is. Sellers have a hunch of what it should be, and that's why it's important to get with someone that knows what the trends are, because I think the trends are what lead us to where we're going to go next. And then how can the current conditions shape the buyer's expectations for their offers? Well, in leaving 2025, we knew it was ultra buyer's market, right? So now that we're in 2026, the mantra is still buyer's market, right? Will it taper down towards the end of the year? Maybe, but right now we still got to be in the forefront of knowing that, hey, the buyers have a lot of options out there.
Absolutely. So could incorrect pricing be one of the reasons why someone's home is sitting?
Yeah, I think that initially you get one great opportunity to hit the market, and sometimes overpricing it will make it be more like crickets. And unfortunately, I still hear, well, my neighbor sold for this much 2 years ago. Yeah, well, you should have sold 2 years ago, unfortunately. But in this market, this is what's happening.
So with more supply than demand, how does increased competition affect the home to stand out, with everyone else?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a question we get all the time. And I think there's three factors that come into play. Number one, your home's condition, right? I think that's important. Your price point, and then the concessions that are offered. Because we got to think that if we're going to be side to side, and technology today is different than it was 10, 15 years ago. I don't just call the sign. I look at the house before I even look at what's going on. So I can see three different houses in the same neighborhood. I can be like, oh, wow, fresh paint outside. I want to see that one first. Oh, wow, this is more in my budget. I want to see that one first. Or, wow, they're offering $12,000 in seller concessions. So I think that's a big thing. And I think sellers must adjust to what their climate is, because one neighborhood might be completely different than another neighborhood, right?
Yep.
If we're internal 410 and we have tall, mature trees, established neighbors, that's going to be a little bit different of a buyer pool than if we're outside 1604 in a commodity neighborhood where we're competing next door to a builder. Then we got to get a whole nother approach in place. But I think all those things come together in today's normal.
I agree. Now, does the let's just see how it goes approach mean your home is actually priced to sit?
There's over 16,000 homes on the market right now, and you don't want to be that one home that's saying, I'm going to cut on the marketing, I'm going to cut on the forward approach of getting the house ready, because everybody else is trying to do all those things. So if you're not doing that, you're going to be already set up for failure, I think. And like we said, the best foot forward is important. Your first 14 days is the days that if you want to really hit a home run, you're going to hit it in that time frame. And a lot of that has to do with setting the price right, having the conversations on, hey, we're going to be expecting an offer, and more than likely there's going to be about 2 to 3% worth of concessions. It's a difficult conversation to have, but realistically, I could look at the metro, and that's what the average is being 2 to 3%. So if you have a $300,000 house, anywhere between $6,000 and $9,000 might be set aside just to say, hey, we might have to give this to help the buyer out.
Now, what about for the people who are saying, we're just going to wait for the perfect buyer?
Yeah, well,
is that costing them money?
Yeah, I think the perfect buyer, or the perfect buyer on our timeline, is the other part of it, right? Now, if you have multiple people looking at it, and this is the thing that we tell some of our sellers, we've had 10 showings or 15 showings. Well, your house didn't fit their box. Why? You didn't do X, Y, or Z, right? So that, let's say what happens, or we just need the right buyer to understand what we put into it and all their love and care. We got to take away the emotion on that, because sometimes, most often than not, the first 2 weeks or the first initial offer is going to be your stronger offer, because as time goes by, we're going to probably have to do adjustments, virtual stage. We're going to have to change some things around. We're going to have to do some different marketing practices. But normally, you get your biggest and best offer in the front side, which saves you more money, which means you have more money to walk away with. But yeah, I think that the strongest buyer, like you said, comes early.
Yeah. And so you touched on this a little bit, but the condition and the presentation of the home, could that be stopping buyers from like falling in love with it?
I think so because, like we said, technology is so big. If I'm scrolling and like I've been in a house business to where I'm looking for a house for myself, I look at the fronts. If I don't like the color schemes or if it's dated just on the front or it just doesn't, you can see that there's deferred maintenance. I'm swiping because
Or even the landscaping, if it doesn't look good, they might think that's how the inside.
Yeah, and you know, there's that. You know, I've had buyers that'll open cabinets, and if they see that there's a crazy organization going on or just clutter, they're going to say, well, if they're not going to pay attention to this, what else did they not pay attention to, right? So I think that does go a long way. Serious qualified buyers are going to act quickly. So if you have something that's ready to go, and we've had tons of success stories of, hey, if you do exactly what we tell you to do, you're going to be extremely happy. And then we've had some people that say, well, this is the way I did it 20 years ago, and I know how to do it. I've sold or bought 2 or 3 houses. I get it. But times have changed, and really in a competitive buyer market, we need to be at our best at all times. And also, you got to be available to show the house, right? Because, you know, well, I work from this time to this time. I get it, but you're going to have to be adaptable, right? Because I think in this market, you got to be resilient and be willing to do what these sellers aren't going to do because you're going to sell your house. They're not. And then you're going to have to reduce your price or take a lot less. And at the end of the day, it's taken away from your equity.
Yeah. Let's talk about the advantages of working with a full service team.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing with the full service team is your ability to spend more while having everything in house, right? And what I mean by that is independent agents don't have the budgets to do that, right? So I think it goes a long way with the professional photography, the videography, marketing. I always say we have 3 phases. We have a social media campaign, we have a geofencing campaign, and then we have an AI algorithm campaign that brings it all together, right? When I talk about that with other agents, like, what does all that mean? That sounds expensive. And it is, right? But it's because we've invested or teams invest in that technology. So I think that's huge in getting our point across. Coordinating systems like from start to finish. A good team's going to have the structure in place to ensure that we have a pre-listing coordinator, we have a transaction coordinator. Before we even get to that point, we're going to have a stager for professional marketing and photography. The team's going to come together. And I think the dedicated roles really identifies what a team is all about because, yeah, I might go on a listing, but I know that I'm not a photographer. I know I don't know how to figure out all the videography that we do. And there's the marketing team that does that. And then there's the expert negotiators that handle that and all these other things that go into it. Because one part is getting the listing, the other part is closing the listing. And I think when you have a team together, you have a lot of eyes to ensure that we don't miss anything. And I mean, single agents are great. I mean, they're really good buyer's agents. They could be really good listing agents on a one-off basis. But when you're doing volume, it's really hard to keep all the coordination in play.
And I love like how one of our mottos has been like, our team is your team.
Yeah.
And you get 22 of us. You know, they're all, you know, doing everything we can, you know, working for you, you know, and it's...
Yeah, well, all those people bring different experiences, they bring different values, but they see the market differently, right? Because everyone's working to try to figure out what the next trend is going to be. Hey, this is what's happening good. Then we had the collaboration and say, hey, I just had this happen on my listing. I think it's do it to yours. Then boom, all of a sudden that changes. So there's just a lot of teamwork. And when the team is working really, really hard, they win. So
at the end of the day, selling a home in today's market comes down to strategy. You need the right pricing, the right presentation, and the right team behind you. Don't forget that our team is your team.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, have a blessed day.